Hey everyone, I'm back with another tutorial. This time I want to show you the basics of how to animate in Sketchbook. So Sketchbook by Autodesk is a free software. You can download it by going to their website, and after installing, all you need to do is set up an account with them and you're good to go. It's really easy to get started and it has a lot of different brushes. Personally, I really like the pencil and texture brushes, which I'm looking forward to using more. But if you're not content with these and can't find any you like, you can click on this blue tab which says New Brushes, and this will bring up a list of new packs for you to download and test out. If the tab disappears, you can bring it back up again by going to Windows, Sketchbook Extras. In this setup where you can sketch and paint, you can have quite a few layers. There's mirroring features to create patterns, perspective guides for backgrounds, rulers, a text tool, classic bucket or gradient fill, and brush stabilizers which will smooth out any shaky lines. I started drawing digitally about 8 years ago, and Sketchbook was one of the first drawing programs that I'd actually used. At that point they had a paid for version too, but it looks like they recently just merged it all into one program and made it free. I think you also had to buy packs of brushes too, so this update is great for everyone who's just starting out or just doesn't want to pay a lot of money for a drawing program. What they didn't have when I last used Sketchbook was Flipbook, and this is where the animation features are. To get up the animation tools, you have to go to File, New Flipbook, New Empty Flipbook, and this window will appear asking you what size canvas and frame rate you want for your animation. I'm just going to set this up to 800 by 800. Sketchbook has options for 12, 24, 25 and 30 frames a second. I prefer using 25, but if you want to do something different, you can. The maximum number of frames you can have in a flipbook is 1000. You can't import a sound file yet, but this might be something Autodesk look into in the future. Now along the bottom here you have your animation timeline. You can show more or fewer frames by dragging this bit here. There are options to the left to add a keyframe, insert an empty frame, duplicate keyframe and clear keyframe. If you move into a new frame in the timeline which hasn't been keyed already, you can delete that frame as well. On the right you have your auto keyframe, which will make a new key whenever you move to a new frame and start drawing, and beside it is the option to play your animation in a loop. Beneath these are your onion skin options, though in Sketchbook if you hover over the buttons they say show, hide, ghosting of previous frames, and it's essentially the same thing. Clicking the menus here will let you select how many keyframes you want to show either side of the drawing you're working on, and it's easy enough to turn them off again when you need to. If you haven't cleared the frames between your drawings, they will act as holds until you reach the next keyframe. You can move frames easily by clicking and dragging them across the timeline. To the right in the layer panel you have an option to change your background colour, a layer to draw your background on, and then 2 layers called foreground and midground for animation. Unfortunately these are the only 2 layers you can use for animation, as you can't add in more layers or delete the ones you have here. At the moment the only thing stopping me from making something more complex with Sketchbook is the limited amount of layers. I personally use a lot, and having only 2 is a little restricting for me. On the positive side, exporting your animation is very quick and easy. So once you're finished, go to File, Export Flipbook, and a new window will appear. You can export in a number of different formats shown here. Select whether you want the entire animation to export or just a certain number of frames, and check the Match Document Settings box. If you're exporting as a GIF or GIF, however you want to say it, you want to make sure the loop playback is selected. Usually I'll just use a .mov for a video file. After that, click export and choose where you want to save it. Though personally I like having a few more layers to play with, Sketchbook is great if you're just getting started and want a free program to practice animation in. As it's been made by Autodesk, who have developed this program and several others to a pretty good standard already, there's fewer bugs than other free programs, and in certain aspects it's easier to use and more stable. I'm hoping that in future updates for the program, Autodesk will allow you to add sound and have more than 2 layers to animate with that you can see in the timeline, as it would make everything a lot easier. You could get around the lack of layers by using different colours to separate out different elements of your animation, or even export what you have and then bring it back into the program as a single layer to then animate back on top of, but that can be a lot of work for some people. If that does seem like too much of a fuss, there are other options to take a look at, which I talk about in my video 2D animation software paid and free. I do have a tutorial on my channel on how to animate in Krita as well if Sketchbook is not for you. So I hope this video was helpful. If you want to see more stuff like this from me, give this video a like and subscribe, and I'll be back with another one real soon. Bye!